Alright, how is it going, everyone on YouTube? It's C-RadTV back here in another video. So, of course, the NFL regular season is come and gone, and now it is officially playoff season. The month of January is here. It's time for what? It's time for NFL playoff football. As this year we started off with 32 teams, and now we are down to the top 14 remaining. As now for the next month, we will find out who will be the two that will battle it out in Las Vegas for the 58th Lombardi Trophy. So, let's go ahead and let's see who our 14 lucky contestants are this year and see who has the best shots at making it to the big dance. So, starting off here, we're going to take a look at the AFC side of the bracket and take a look at our 7 teams on the AFC side that make it in. So, starting off, we have the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens, well, it's amazing how good the Ravens can truly be when they're actually healthy for once, not injured to hell and back. Like Lamar Jackson, once again, Lamar looking like he's the easy front runner for the MVP this season, as Lamar's having another great MVP caliber season. Their defense, once again, the Ravens have an elite defense, but I don't know, part of the Ravens offense mainly lives and dies by the running game. Even though Lamar has shown a lot of great progression as a quarterback, though, but, you know, there's still going to be some question marks, though. The team has been inconsistent. The team has played down to their competition a few times this year and made games more competitive than it should have been. Like, it's a team that shows that that's shown a lot more potential than what they played with. But, really, for Lamar Jackson, Lamar's proved everything he needs to in the regular season. He's a great regular season player. The only thing, really, he's lacking now is playoff success. Like, at this point, Lamar Jackson, he's just the NFL's version of Joel Embiid. A great regular season player, but usually doesn't show up in the playoffs. Can Lamar finally do it this year? It's a possibility. I mean, with the amount of talent that Lamar has this year, there's no more excuses. It's put up or shut up time. Anything short of a Super Bowl is considered a failure. Plus, John Harbaugh is going to be wanting to reign too after his brother Jim just won a natty with Michigan. So, yeah, there's that. Next up, the Buffalo Bills. How the hell are the Bills the number 2 seed? This is so fucking weird. Like, the Bills have been inconsistent as hell all season. Like, the Bills have been inconsistent, but it seems like no matter what happened, the Bills just seem to do better with less now. Especially after they lost so much talent in the offseason due to cap casualties. You know, Josh Allen massively regressed throughout the season. Like, this is one of his worst seasons since 2020. Like, Sean McDermott, he came out as a massive weirdo in the last couple weeks. Especially when he was using using lessons of 9/11 to teach team building. Yeah, that's about as fucking weird as it fucking gets. But despite all that, the Bills were able to get hot at the right time. They have the most momentum out of any team in the AFC. Not only that, though, they also took advantage of Miami choking on their own shit. But yeah, maybe the Bills could get it done. I mean, the Bills, they're in the dance, and as long as you're in the dance, you have a chance. Can the Bills actually live up to their potential in the playoffs this time? They've been here many times, but they've always fallen short of goal. This time, can they make it all the way? Tune in to find out. Next up, Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champions, are back in the dance to defend their title again. For the Chiefs, though, they haven't looked as strong as in years past, as the Chiefs have been inconsistent this year. Mahomes just hasn't looked that good this year. I mean, the receiving has been this team's biggest issue, and Travis Kelce has kind of regressed too. Not only that, though, but the Chiefs fan base got a bit more hated this year with the addition of all the Taylor Swift fans all coming in with Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift. The one question I have for the Chiefs is Taylor Swift becoming a cancer, a distraction to the Chiefs, especially with Travis Kelce? Because Kelce, the amount of issues Kelce has had this year, he was not having any of these issues until Taylor Swift showed up in his life. Time will tell there, but honestly, knowing my luck with the Chiefs, they'll probably bullshit. They'll magically have all their issues fixed in the playoffs. They'll get hot at the right time, turn the switch, and they'll pull another deep shape playoff run out of their ass. That's just going to be the luck with this thing. The next team we have the Houston Texans. Now listen, in the preseason, I said if Houston fucked around enough, they could possibly go to second in the division because of how terrible it was going to be. But good God, I did not think the Texans were going to win the AFC South. Jesus Christ. I mean, most of that was due to Jacksonville choking on their own shit and failing to show up when it matters the most, and Trevor Lawrence massively regressing. But hey, Houston is still respectable in their own right. Mainly with the great rookie season, mainly with C.J. Stroud having one of the greatest rookie seasons by the quarterback since what? Andrew Luck in 2012? Easily one of the greatest rookie quarterback seasons in a decade since Andrew Luck. 100% though. You also got great rookie receivers like Tank Dell and Nico Collins as well. Even Will Anderson is the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. What a great talent here. Like, it's amazing how much a difference a year can make for Houston. A year ago, the Texans, they were competing in the fucking Tank Bowl for Bryce Young. And despite fucking the tank up and ending up second overall pick, they somehow end up in a better situation than the Panthers did drafting Bryce Young. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for Houston right now, especially after what Bill O'Brien did to him 3 years ago, running that team straight into the ground. And now a couple years later, they're back in the playoffs as a 4 seed and have a home playoff game. And with the way Houston's going, their future is definitely bright. Especially with DeMeco Ryan. Like, DeMeco Ryan seems like the perfect coach for the Texans right now. Like, he has somehow turned that thing around within one offseason, Great job by him and the Texans, Great season from them regardless of results. It will be a learning experience for sure, but hey, at least the Texans' future is definitely bright. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns. Somehow Cleveland made it in. It's amazing how Cleveland somehow made it in. Like, Cleveland was been injured to hell and back. Like, let's just preview the Browns situation. The Browns, their situation is murky with Deshaun Cosby, as they're fucked if they keep Watson around, but they're fucked if they don't put a team around him. Like, they're fucked if they lose with him, they're fucked if they win. And then Deshaun Watson went down, and then they went and got some Joe Flacco off the street. And somehow in the year 2023, one of the most exciting quarterbacks to watch is Joe Flacco. Mainly Joe Flacco taking advantage of the tight ends, especially to David Njoku, as Njoku has been the great merchant to Joe Flacco. If there's anything Flacco likes to do, Flacco likes to throw it to the tight end. The Browns' offense has had some good moments too, but the main thing that's helped carry the Browns through all this has been the defense. Especially Myles Garrett being the anchor on the defense again. Browns have been a great underdog team. Easily a team that's been hampered with injuries to hell and back. And somehow, some way, they're still here. And the Browns, if they get the right circumstances play out in their favor, the Browns could go deep in the playoffs. But honestly, this playoff appearance for Cleveland is what they needed, because this saved a lot of jobs in Cleveland. Because if Cleveland missed the playoffs, there was probably a good chance Kevin Stefanski probably would have gotten fired. But now I believe his job is safe for sure. So yeah, good stuff for the Cleveland Browns. I'm happy for Cleveland, They deserve to be here after all the shit they've gone through for so many years. I know some people disagree, but hey, I don't make the rules here. Next up, the Miami Dolphins. Miami is the most disappointing team coming into the playoffs. Like, Miami spent a majority this season on top of the AFC East. Like, they had this division effectively locked up entering the last 5 weeks of the last month of the season. Like, hell, the Bills were inconsistent as hell all year. And what have the Chiefs done? What have the Dolphins done? They have completely collapsed and imploded on themselves. Mainly Tua Tagovailoa shitting the bed and completely shitting down his pant leg. Main issue with the Dolphins is they've had issues beating teams with winning records. Like, their only game where they beat a team with a winning record was against the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Day. And that's honestly about it. But yeah, the Dolphins just, a lot of questions about Tua Tagovailoa. Is he truly the QB to get it done? Because now that's 2 times in Tua's career in the last week of the season where Tua has failed to show up and perform when it mattered the most. And honestly, if he can't do it in the regular season, what makes you think he's going to do in the playoffs? And especially, there's really no excuses for it, especially with the offensive talent around him. With Jalen Waddle, you got Tyreek Hill. Even Raheem Mostert has done some things at running back. There's really no excuses for this. Hell, they even went all in for Bradley Chubb. Even gained Jalen Ramsey. There's no excuses for this. But yeah, honestly, if the Dolphins want to go anywhere, Tua needs to step up. If Tua really wants to prove everybody, he has to do in the playoffs now. It's step up or step aside. And then the final team we got in the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, whoopee, the most boring team in football not named New England made the playoffs. Whoopee. Mainly because it's illegal for Mike Tomlin to have a losing season. As the Steelers had a winning season, had another winning record under Tomlin, and then the right set of circumstances played out for the Steelers to bullshit their way into the playoffs. Seriously, this team is not even exciting to watch. A team that constantly shoots themselves in the foot. They don't even got Kenny Pickett. Pickett doesn't even want to play for the Steelers anymore, which just complicates the QB situation. And have fun riding your hopes on Mason Rudolph. It ain't going to end well. And of course, the defense will be hampered going into the playoffs as TJ Watt suffered an injury. And Watt will more than likely be out for the first game of the playoffs. And that Steelers defense is the main reason, though, why the Steelers are where they are. And without TJ Watt, that defense is fucked. Easily the Steelers are screaming one and done. They're screaming one and done. Easily any team here, there is no argument about, there's no case you can make about them making a second round. Out of everyone here, they are the easiest case for one and done. The Steelers, though, are kind of an example of why people thinking that the 7th seed should not exist. Because it rewards mediocrity like the Steelers. But hey, who knows? Maybe the Steelers will bullshit their way to the Super Bowl. And then Steelers go to Super Bowl again. We'll have to tune in. Could they? Probably not. I just have my doubts on it. Now we shift over to the NFC side of the bracket. So here are the 7 teams on the NFC side of the bracket. So, starting off, we have the number 1 seed. San Francisco 49ers. Probably not the most surprising outcome here. I think a lot of people expected San Francisco to be up here. I think a lot of people in the offseason predicted either San Francisco or Philadelphia to be the top seed. And yeah, it pretty much was true. San Francisco, a team that is completely loaded from top to bottom. Offense, you got Brock Purdy, who's picking right up where he left off when he came in at the last minute when Garoppolo and Trey Lance went down. As even though the Niners have been great, that trade up they made for Trey Lance will go down as one of the worst trades the Niners have made. But despite that, the Niners still have enough talent to where they can make up for that. Especially at receiving core, you got Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk at the receiving core. You got Christian McCaffrey in the backfield holding the load. Defense is littered with playmakers like Nick Bosa. You got also Fred Warner anchoring that defense too. And of course, they also made that trade deadline acquisition for Chase Young. Because as they've now entered officially the fuck them picks phase of the window. Because the window for the 49ers is wide open. The time to strike is now. And, the time for the 49ers to win is now. Anything short of a Super Bowl for the 49ers is considered a failure. It is truly for the Niners, Super Bowl or bust. And the Niners, they have enough talent and they're loaded to where this team, the Niners, they are easily the front runner for the Super Bowl this year. Next up, Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys get the NFC East because I guess it's illegal for a team to win the NFC East back-to-back years. For most of the season, they were the second team in the NFC East, as the Eagles dominated the division, until the Eagles suffered a Pittsburgh Steelers 2020-like collapse, and then the Cowboys took advantage of it and just happened to be the last man standing. Down in some ref ball against Detroit helped that out too. As now the Cowboys are second seed in the NFC. Dak Prescott has also put up MVP caliber numbers. But main thing that's still there with the Cowboys is they've had issues against teams with winning records. Like, because Dak, he usually does well against shit competition, but always struggles against good teams. I mean, the game against the 49ers earlier this year is a good example of that. But yeah, the Cowboys, they have all the talent in the world. You got Dak, you got Tony Pollard, you got CeeDee Lamb. Like on defense, you even got playmakers like Dante Fowler, DeMarcus Lawrence. You got Lane, well, they don't have Lane Vander Esch, but you got Deron Bland in the secondary leading the league in interceptions. You even got Micah Parsons, who's one of the best pass rushers in the game this year. Even their offensive line is loaded with talent. Like the Cowboys have all the talent, but the main thing though, but no one will take the Cowboys serious until you make it past the second round. For any Cowboy fans that want to say this is their year and that they're going to get their ring, here's the thing. Make it past the second round. You want me to take the Cowboys serious? Make it past the second round, and maybe we'll talk. I think that's a fair deal. Because the Cowboys, they have all the talent in the world, but they don't live up to their potential. Especially when Mike McCarthy has coached like a bit of a moron throughout his tenure in Dallas. Make it past the second round, and then we'll talk, okay? And now next up, the team that I know the most here because it's my team. The Detroit Lions. Yes, the Lions have made the playoffs for the first time since 2016, but this is uncharted territory for the Lions. As for the first time in 30 years, the Lions have won their division, as they have clinched the NFC North division and clinched their first division title since 1993. So, of course, Detroit, it will be their first home playoff game at Ford Field. As, yeah, the Lions, they have quickly shown their potential within 3 years of the MCDC era. Like Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, they took a situation where they were fucked from the get-go, from the Quinn Tricia era, and they have completely rebuilt this team from the ground up to represent the city of Detroit very well. You know, they traded off franchise face Matt Stafford to the Rams for Jared Goff and 2 first-rounders. And this team has a lot of talent on it to complement Goff. You got a dual-threat running back duo in David Montgomery and rookie Jahmyr Gibbs. Receiving core is loaded with talent. You got Jamison Williams, a deep threat. You got the number 1 target, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Even got an underrated receiver in Josh Reynolds. Even tight end, you got Sam Laporta holding the tight end well. Defense has playmakers too. Aiden Hutchinson anchoring the pass rush. You even got Lee McNeil anchoring the D-line as well. You got Alex Anzalone anchoring the linebacking core. The secondary, you got names like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You got the rookie Brian Branch. You got also Kirby Joseph as well anchoring that there. And especially Ifeatu Melifonwu, who the last few weeks has slowly started to come into his own. Even Cam Sutton has done some things as a corner as well. The Lions have the talent here. Like, this team, it's like no matter if they're outmatched or not, they will fight to the end for Dan Campbell and the Lions. Like I would not sleep on the Lions for this year. I think this Lions team is going to go a lot deeper in the playoffs than some people may think. But there have been some issues for the Lions. Can the Lions act? Can the Lions get it done? Goff has had some consistency issues throughout the season, though. Can they get it done? Like, honestly, as the Lions, I think the Lions are easily one of the biggest boomer bust teams in the playoffs. Like, it goes one of two ways. Either A, the Lions are going to go very deep in the playoffs, or B, they're going to go one and done again. There's really no in between. Like, easily, the Lions have all the talent to go far. But can they stay consistent enough for it? Easily, Lions are boomer bust. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seriously, Tampa, how the hell are you in the playoffs? Like, I know the NFC South is one of the worst divisions in football, but good God. I literally saw your carcass left for dead after Tom Brady retired a second time and left you on the side of the road. Somehow, someway, you found a way to make it in with Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles as your head coach. Okay, I'm not even going to get mad. That's kind of impressive that you somehow did it, even though it's the worst division of football. You know, there's still some talent here. I mean, Mike Evans once again had another 1,000-yard receiving season. You know, Tampa Bay has some solid pieces here. The defense has been one of the top defenses in the game. Like, there were rumors there earlier in the season about Devin White possibly wanting out. And then those rumors got shut down, and Devin White all of a sudden decided, no way, I want to play here. As Devin White continues to be the anchor in the defense. Same deal with Vita Vea on the D-line. Like, the Bucs team the Bucs team took advantage of what they were given, and they've made it here. Not expecting too much out of the Bucs, but hey, considering who their opponent is in the first round and how much that team has collapsed so far, they might be able to win at least one playoff game, and that's probably it. They're Tampa Bay ceiling at best in the playoffs is easily second round. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles. Easily in the NFC side. Like the AFC side, the most disappointing team going into the playoffs has been the Miami Dolphins. On the NFC side, it's easily the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, the Eagles started off this season picking up where they left off last year. Like, they started the year 8-1. They looked like the front runner to represent the NFC at the Super Bowl again, with how good they've been. And in the last month or two, they've collapsed hard. Especially when they've made changes to their defense by bringing in Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator. And, well, it's gone about as well as you expect. All I say is all the Lions and Patriot fans tried to warn you about Patricia. We told you what was going to happen if you brought him in as defensive coordinator, but no, you didn't listen. You saw those 2 Super Bowl rings he had with New England and decided and all you saw was Super Bowl glory in your future and trying to get back to the Super Bowl to kick Kansas City's ass. Philadelphia still has the talent, though. You got Jalen Hurts in there, running back, you got DeAndre Swift, who's finally living up to his potential in his first year after leaving Detroit. Receiving core is anchored with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. The defense, you have the entire Georgia national championship defense from the last 2 years is on there. Jalen Carter, whatever character issues he had, it hasn't mattered as he has had a great rookie season. Even Jordan Davis in there too. Great talent on the defense all around. Even Nolan Smith has done some things. The Eagles, they have all the talent in the world, but they have just been massively disappointing and underachieving. And considering that they led the NFC East for effectively the entire season until the last 2 weeks. Kind of disappointing here. Honestly, the Eagles should be a lot better than they are, but they've just found every single way to disappoint themselves. I don't know, could the Eagles flip the switch in the playoffs? I mean, it's possible, but I think they're seriously starting to have some doubts. Next up, the Los Angeles Rams. Well, so for the Rams, it turns out the Rams are still as good as advertised when they actually stay healthy for once. As Matt Stafford, he continues to just do his thing with the Rams. Receiving core, you got Cooper Kupp in there, and you got Stafford's new target, the rookie Puka Nacua, as he's had one of the best rookie receiving seasons in NFL history. Defensive line is still anchored by Aaron Donald, who's still one of the most dominant defensive players in the game today. The Rams, they're not as strong as they were a couple years ago from the Super Bowl run, but they still have some talented pieces in there. And if the Rams get the right set of circumstances to play out, the Rams could possibly maybe make a deep run. Could the Rams do it? We'll have to see. But for Stafford to do it, he'll have to overcome his old team in Detroit in the first round. Can Stafford overcome Detroit? Or will the Lions get their revenge? You have to tune in. And then finally, we have the Green Bay Packers. Oh, Green Bay, you made it in. Not supposed to be impressed considering how much your fan base holds you to a higher standard. Seriously, why won't you just fuck off already? Nobody wants you here, Green Bay. But yeah, it seems like Green Bay is starting to luck themselves into a third franchise quarterback. Green Bay is the perfect epitome of how life isn't fair. Because within the last 30 years, they've gone from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers and now Jordan Love. God help us all. And the Packers have some talent on the offense as well. Running back core. Aaron Jones has had some issues this year, but A.J. Dillon has done a great job taking the load for Aaron Jones. Receiving core, you got Christian Watson there. You got Jaden Reed and also Deshaun Watson as well. Romeo Doubs as well. Some solid rookie talent on the offense. Even defense has had some great playmakers in there too. But can the Packers, the Packers though, are they truly back, or is Detroit going to make sure Green Bay doesn't take the North? Like, we all know what Green Bay is capable of. Can Green Bay actually live up to their potential for once? Because we've seen it with Favre and Rodgers, where both times the Packers should have had dynasties with both of them, and they blew it on both those occasions. Can they get it right on the third try with Jordan Love? Time will tell there. But for Green Bay, this is more than likely just a learning experience to get better, which means Green Bay, you're going to be a first-round elimination, and you are going to fucking like it. So now, with all the previewing out of the way, we now get to the bracket itself. So the wild card round, we have on the AFC side, we have Pittsburgh versus Buffalo. We have Miami versus Kansas City, and that game has some big storylines. As for that game is Tyreek Hill's first game in Kansas City since being traded a couple years ago. And in the final AFC matchup we have is the Cleveland Browns and Houston Texans. Of course, this game has some storyline because Cleveland is the team that the Houston Texans traded Deshaun Watson to. And of course, Watson will not be playing in this game, so there will be no real revenge except maybe bragging rights on the line. And going deep in the win the playoff game, obviously. Well, on the NFC side, you got the Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys. That rivalry renewed. Mike McCarthy gets first playoff game against his old team. Of course, the big game with the most storylines going in, Los Angeles Rams, Detroit Lions. And that game, Lions' first home playoff game in 30 years. And that game is also Matt Stafford's official return to Detroit. It's Stafford's first game back in Detroit since being traded 2 years ago. And of course, Jared Goff looking to get revenge on his old head coach, Sean McVay, and the team that abandoned him. And then the last one, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tampa Bay. So, out of everyone here, and of course, Baltimore and San Francisco, they're the two number 1 seeds, so they both get round 1 byes. So, out of these teams here, who will advance to the divisional round? So now on the screen here is everybody I have advancing to the second round of the playoffs. So on the AFC side, we're going to start that one off. I have Buffalo beating Pittsburgh in the first round. Like, even though the Bills have had some consistency issues, like the Steelers defense is screwed without TJ Watt on there. So, I think the Bills take care of business against the Steelers. I think the Steelers will keep it close, but I have Buffalo winning that game. I got Buffalo winning by 5 points. I got Buffalo 25-20. Miami, Kansas City, I have the Chiefs winning that game over the Dolphins. Like I feel like Tua Tagovailoa is going to shit the bed in the playoffs. Like, Tua, he can't show up and perform when it matters in the regular season. What makes you think he's magically going to do in the playoffs? Like, I think despite any issues the Chiefs have had, there's one thing you can't do so far, and that's you can't doubt Patrick Mahomes, because anytime you do, he'll just pull another deep run out of his ass and probably pull another Super Bowl win that's gifted to him by the refs out of his ass, too. So, I got the Chiefs winning against the Dolphins. I think the Chiefs move on to the next round. I have the Dolphins being out. And then Cleveland, Houston, this was a tough one to call. It could go either way. I know the Browns, they beat the Texans a couple weeks ago, but that game, the Texans didn't have C.J. Stroud because I believe C.J. was out under concussion protocol. But C.J. Stroud's back now for this game. So I think C.J. Stroud's going to be a big difference maker for Houston against the Browns. I'm not sure if the Browns have enough answers for C.J. Stroud in Houston. I think the Texans pull it off. I think it's going to be a very close game that comes down to the end. But I got Houston beating Cleveland, so I think Houston will win a playoff game. I got Houston beating the Browns. On the NFC side, I got Dallas beating Green Bay. I mean, Dak always does well against mediocre teams, and Green Bay's been mediocre this year, so I got Dallas beating the Packers. I think Mike McCarthy will get his revenge on the team that canned him a couple years ago in that power struggle involved in that with Aaron Rodgers. Next one, I have Detroit winning their first playoff game since 1991. I have the Lions beating the Rams at home. Like, I have Detroit winning. I know it's not going to be an easy game, but, you know, Matt Stafford, he usually tends to struggle against teams winning records on the road. And the Rams, they aren't as strong as they used to be a long time ago. I do have Detroit winning this game. I think Detroit wins this one. Like, I think Jared Goff gets his revenge against Sean McVay and the Rams after they abandoned him for Matt Stafford. But yeah, I got the Lions. You know, their first home playoff game in 30 years is going to be a loud place. I think the Lions pull it off. Plus, I said at the start of the year, I said the Lions would not only win the division, I said they would win their first playoff game since 1991, and I'm sticking with it. I got the Lions winning their first playoff game since 91. Yeah, Matt Stafford's return to Detroit will result in the Rams going one and done. And then finally, this was a game I was back and forth on. But I think Philadelphia, they should beat Tampa Bay. Like, Philadelphia easily is more talented than the Bucs. They beat Tampa earlier in the year, but that was before Matt Patricia became the defensive coordinator. Like, honestly, there's no way Patricia should fuck this up. But yeah, I got the Eagles beating the Bucs. I wouldn't be surprised though if Tampa Bay won that game, but I think Philadelphia pulls that out. I got the Eagles moving on. So now my second round matchups for the divisional round. For the AFC divisional round, I have Houston versus Baltimore. And I got Kansas City versus Buffalo. So in the second round, I think we'll have Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. While on the NFC side, I have Philadelphia versus San Francisco. Rematch from last year's NFC Championship game. And then I got Detroit versus Dallas. And that Detroit and Dallas meet in the second round. That game will be very personal, considering what happened a couple weeks ago. But yeah, those are the 8 teams I have in the divisional round. So, out of those 8, who do I think will advance to the AFC and NFC championship games? So, here are the 4 teams I have moving on to the AFC and the NFC championship games. So, on the AFC side, I have Baltimore beating Houston. Like, even though Houston's had a great season, I don't think they have enough answers for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think Baltimore will handle their business against Houston. I got the Ravens winning that game. I mean, the Ravens, they should win that game against Houston. And in Kansas City, Buffalo, I actually have Josh Allen and the Bills finally beating Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs. Like, so far, in terms of the playoff matchups between Mahomes and Allen, Mahomes has won every playoff matchup against Allen, while Allen has tended to beat Mahomes in the regular season. Mahomes has tended to beat Allen when it mattered the most. However, this would be Mahomes' first ever road playoff game. And I think, the previous 2 matchups between Allen and Mahomes, both those matchups took place at Arrowhead. And I'll tell you right now, Buffalo, Bills Mafia is a lot different environment than Arrowhead. And I think that different environment is going to play big dividends for the Bills. I think the Bills pull it off against the Chiefs. So I have the Bills advancing to the AFC Championship game. I have them beating the Chiefs at home. So I got the Chiefs going out in the second round. And I think Mahomes loses his first road playoff game. On the NFC side, I got San Francisco beating Philadelphia. I think San Francisco is going to handle their business against Philadelphia. Like, I think San Francisco, I think they're just going to steamroll Philly. Just Philadelphia, they've just collapsed. They'll be lucky to even make the second round. But yeah, and I think in the second round, Philadelphia's lucky it runs out. And San Francisco, they get the revenge over Philadelphia for last year's NFC title game. And the next one, this may shock some people, but I have Detroit winning in Dallas on the road. I mean, Dallas, they haven't lost a home game all year. And honestly, Detroit, they should have won that game against Dallas a couple weeks ago, but they got screwed over by ref ball. So yeah, Detroit's going to come in with a lot of anger and a lot of emotion. And I think I'll be honest here, I think if you give Detroit a second chance against the Cowboys in Dallas, especially in the playoffs, I think Detroit gets it done, because this time Brad Allen isn't going to be reffing this game, and there will be no Jimmy Johnson Ring of Honor, so there will be no more ways to rig it for Dallas. So I got Detroit winning this one. Plus, keep this in mind. The last time Detroit and Dallas met in the second round, Detroit won that game and made the NFC title game that year. So I think we have deja vu from 1991. I think Detroit beats Dallas in the second round. And I think Detroit will hand Dallas their first home loss of the season and end Dallas's home winning streak. So yeah, my AFC Championship game. I have Buffalo versus Baltimore. While on the NFC side, I have Detroit versus San Francisco. So out of these four, who do I think will be going to Super Bowl 58, aka which two teams am I jinxing this year because I've never learned my lesson? So here are the two teams I have advancing to Super Bowl 58. And for this prediction, I'm taking with a grain of salt because I have never gotten it right. Usually at bare most, I only get like one of the teams right. I never get both right. So here's who I have advancing. So on the AFC side, I have the Buffalo Bills advancing over Baltimore. On paper, Baltimore is a way better team than Buffalo, but I feel like Lamar Jackson is going to choke in the playoffs because Lamar has had issues showing up and performing when it matters the most in the playoffs. Like I said, Lamar is the NFL's version of Joel Embiid. Great regular season player, but has had issues showing up when it matters the most. While the Bills, they've been here before, and I feel like despite the Bills not having a lot more talent, I feel like the Bills have been better this year with less talent around. And I feel like the Bills are getting hot at the right time. I think Buffalo advances to the Super Bowl on the AFC side. And I think if there's any team that could go win in Baltimore in the playoffs, I think it's Buffalo. I think Buffalo can get it done. So I got the Bills advancing on the AFC side. On the NFC side, I have San Francisco beating Detroit. See, I feel like despite Detroit's great season, I think it falls short. I think Detroit is just outmatched against San Francisco. Plus, the Lions, they haven't won in San Francisco since the 70s, so it's going to be a tough sledding there. I mean, it's very possible Detroit could do it. I mean, San Francisco is proven they're beatable. But, it's going to be a tough sledding for sure. I think Detroit will keep it close for San Francisco, but in the end, I think Brock Purdy and the 49ers will come in clutch when it matters. Solid season for Detroit, but I think it will end with Detroit just falling short of goal. But the Lions' future is definitely bright. And yeah, I got San Francisco in because I'm such a biased Detroit Lions fan. Yeah, such a biased fan indeed. Now I'm just fucking with you. Lions are going to the Super Bowl, baby. Give me that fucking Kool-Aid, yeah. Okay, but in all seriousness, San Francisco's going to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I just had to do that one time, though. But yeah, my Super Bowl 58 matchup for my prediction, I think the matchup is going to be Buffalo versus San Francisco. Josh Allen versus Brock Purdy. Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. So, out of these two teams, who do I think will win Super Bowl 58? So, for this matchup between Buffalo and San Francisco, you got Buffalo on one hand, a team that has been here before. That team that's been in the playoffs before has had some good runs. But, the Bills, they've been inconsistent all year, but they've gotten hot at the right time. Having momentum in the playoffs is something crucial and important if you want to go deep and want to make the Super Bowl or even win it. Now, I feel like the Buffalo Bills, they get hot at the right time and go deep. They have some talent, especially with Josh Allen. While with San Francisco, it's literally the best roster in the league from top to bottom. There's really no real weaknesses on that roster outside of whatever happened against Baltimore. But hey, shit happens. But yeah, Buffalo and San Francisco, it's a game you could go either way. But in the end, I think there's no argument who's the favorite to win it all. And this is the team I have winning it. I think it's San Francisco's season. Honestly, I think the 49ers, I think they win the Super Bowl over Buffalo. I think it's San Francisco's Super Bowl to lose. It's San Francisco's to lose. I think San Francisco will get their 6th ring this year. And I think the 49ers win their first Super Bowl since the 90s against the Chargers. So yeah, San Francisco, they've been here a couple times. They've been here before with Kyle Shanahan and back in Super Bowl 54. I think San Francisco gets it done this time. I got the 49ers beating the Bills, and I think San Francisco will be your Super Bowl 58 champions. But yeah, that's all I gotta say for this. Hope everyone's a great day. And yeah, I imagine everyone's brackets are a lot different though. But yeah, this is who I realistically think it is gonna be. But anyway, that's all I gotta say. Hope everyone's a great day. And I'll see y'all ever make next. Peace. Now watch the Super Bowl be like fucking Cowboys versus Chiefs. Because that'll just be everybody's luck. Because fuck my life.